show can be a little gay, but if you're not, that's okay. You can listen and have fun either way. Xena, Star Wars, Doctor Who, guests and music and reviews, Game of Thrones, Wynonna too. We promise there's something for you. She nerds out. We're girls that like nerdy things.
Hello and welcome to She Nerds Out. I'm Anne.
I'm Wendy.
And I'm Tara.
And obviously I am filling in for Kat this week because she is away.
She's in Canada. Switched places with the cast of Earp.
That's right.
They were here and she's there. It's really sad.
Yeah.
So Anne is here graciously filling in this week. But we miss you, Kat, and we're very sorry that you didn't get to have all of our fun that we had at Comic-Con.
It was pretty darn good.
Yeah.
It was.
We don't want to rub it in, but
No,
it was really fun.
we can't put our enthusiasm under a bushel. We have to let it shine.
Kat would want us to be happy.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think so.
so.
It's what you would want. Yeah.
We did what was best, what
So
she would want.
That's right. This weekend, we posted a lot of videos. So we went to the panel and we promised y'all a special EARPisode. You might have seen our post on Twitter about an exclusive quote from Dom talking about some couples issues that they may or may not have. That's because we did talk to the cast and the writer of Wynonna Earp Vengeance. We're going to talk about a little bit of our Comic-Con experience overall and the Earp panel. And then we'll get to those interviews and you'll get some very special content. So we're really excited about that. So we will be having a deep dive into the new Vengeance trailer. That's going to be on a separate episode that will come out this week. But first, we're going to talk about the general experience and how all of this came to be. We've known for how long has it been, Anne, that Wynonna Earp Vengeance will have a panel at Comic-Con?
I want to say it's like a little less than a month.
Yeah, it wasn't a very long notice.
But unfortunately, it was like a really late announcement, right? So as anybody who knows anything about Comic-Con knows, or San Diego Comic-Con in general knows, it's that tickets are really hard to come by and you have to plan, like a year in advance. You might as well be trying to get Taylor Swift tickets.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised to see, given the late announcement of the panel, how many Earpers were there. Now, I don't know if they came by passes in some sort of aftermarket way. Earpers were representing in the panel room. So either they already had tickets or they found a way to get there.
Right. We were fortunate enough. You guys had already had your tickets because you've been going for quite some time. I was able to get a ticket and it really just kind of all came together kind of last minute-y, vision questy, manifesting, made it happen. So we were all just very giddy about it. But you guys went down
Friday
a
or
few hours
earlier
before you.
Okay.
Yeah, our friend Jackie was there. A day or two before any of us, and was scoping out the
Wednesday.
room. Jackie went to where the room would be, took pictures, sat through some other panels in the room to see how the room worked.
Yeah.
So that intel was very helpful to us.
Yeah, I got there with Banana Cat and Noe Chips and Coolness. We got there a little later in the evening, but you guys had already had a chance to walk around and see a little bit of the show, or not the show, but did you guys go to the floor at all, or did you go inside at all?
Yeah,
a little bit.
We did some. I bought about $200 worth of stuff before y'all even arrived.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Some
What'd you
Star
get?
Trek, some little replicas from Back to the Future. Fun
I
stuff.
like how when y'all got there, like, hey, we're getting about 8. We're here. What's everybody doing? And all of us were like, we're going to bed early.
Yeah.
Don't mean to rain on your parade, but we're going to bed.
Well, yeah, Wendy and I, we went to dinner. We're like, oh, well, we're going to get this picture of Moscow Mule was a way better deal than individual. So we're like, all right, well, we know it's going to maybe take a little bit for our food. Guess what? The bartender was, quote, backed up. So our pitcher of Moscow Mule did not come till after we ate our food. So then we're having to chug this entire pitcher.
Yeah, you have to. You don't want to leave money on the table.
So we finished that whole pitcher in a very short amount of time after we walk around. And then y'all got there and we were like, we're going out. What's going on? And we were like, I gotta go lay down after this pitcher of Moscow Mule. We had a big day the next day.
Look, we had already checked into our glamorous Motel 6 for the evening. It is a bare bone. Look, it was, it was nice. There's no art on the walls. There's no shampoo.
It was a murder motel.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's no shampoo or conditioner in this one.
Yeah,
Not
so
even.
we had to order. We DoorDash shampoo and conditioner along with some water and chocolate.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad you guys made it through the
Hey,
night.
the next
and
night
didn't
we were in
get-
the Marriott, so
You were in a better hotel the
We're
next
all
night.
right.
Yeah, we arrived later. We did a little fun trip to Coronado. We had dinner over there, and then we made our way back over just in time as we're going over the bridge to see a plume of smoke and to see on Twitter that one of the off-site events at like, the
Yes.
Penguin Room or something, there was
Yeah.
a fire, which was right by our hotel. So
Oh,
then when we
wow.
got to our hotel, we had to like go around a bunch of stuff. But anyway, we walked around and explored for a while, and we still ended up walking like 5.5 miles on Friday night. We did check out the Tivoli bar, which is the gas lamp's oldest bar, and a
Oh.
bar that Wyatt Earp is said to have drank
So you
at.
did go. How was it?
It was a hole in the wall.
Oh,
There's a giant sign, giant picture on the wall of Wyatt Earp. So we just stopped in long enough to get a picture with Wyatt Earp and take off. First impressions, I've never been to Comic-Con before. I hadn't even gotten into like the convention hall at all. It is very Bourbon Streety, New Orleans-y. The streets are filled with people. They block off traffic. People in cosplay and you name it. It is just like everywhere is packed for blocks.
that's a good comparison, Mardi Gras.
It very much gave me that feel. Like you have
Like a big street party.
tourists- Yeah, street party. Tourists, you have locals trying to busk and make some cash. It's a lot going on. A lot going on. Sensory overload.
Let's get to Saturday, y'all, because I think
Let's
that's where the
get to
action happens.
Saturday.
As an Earper, where you want to be, right?
It's where you want to be. So we started walking over to our hotel, no, from our hotel to the convention center. And as you approach, there's like off-site stuff, and it's just crowds of people walking everywhere. We're like, Jackie, where do we go? And we had very strategic, like, you're going to go in this door. You're going to go up this escalator. You're not going to turn this way, but you're going to turn this way. And we got there, and there was already a line of, I want to say like 30 deep by 9:30 of Earpers ready to get into Hall 6A. The first panel of the day didn't start until 10, but they were already lined up at 9:30. I know they got there real early in the morning to before they even got inside. And so that was nice, just like reuniting with some Earpers. Jackie literally got out a notebook, sat down, drew out what the inside of that room looked like. Jackie's like, here's the stage. This is how many rows of seats there are. There's like columns of seats. She's like, this is where the microphone is. It gets a little congested there. You're going to want to go to the right or the left. She's like, I think optimum viewing is going to be in this section, these rows. So we're like, got it. I'm like, Noe and Jackie, you lead, we'll follow. There were quite a few people there because the first panel of the morning that was going to be in there was for like a tabletop game called Infinity Paradise Lost. And it turns out they were giving away like a free exclusive, Comic-Con only, like little miniature.
I'm sure it's not a toy. It's a collectible. I'm sure.
It's trust me, we're offending someone, I'm sure. But that panel was interesting. It was like they were turning this tabletop game into an animation, and it actually looks really good.
Yeah, it does. It did look good.
The second panel of the day was for that Netflix show, right?
Toys That Made Us. That was pretty interesting. Yeah.
It was. It started to fill in a little bit more for the Toys That Made Us. The panel after that was for an Audible series called Safe Man, which is from the book that Michael Connolly wrote. So he was there, the author. And then Jack Quaid, who voices it with Titus Welliver. Yeah, so it's like started to fill up, and people were interested in all three of those panels.
There was polite applause
There was
at the right
polite
time, right?
applause. There was like, they showed trailers for the Infinity Paradise Lost thing, and that was really interesting. People were really excited about that because it was exclusive, like, look at this animation. Same thing with the Toys That Made Us. It was like, we got rebooted for season 3 and 4. Here's
Yeah.
the toys we're gonna cover. Like, people were
Yeah,
happy.
there was I want like they're cheering, like some like woohoo,
Yes,
like when they
cheering.
revealed some of the things in Toys That Made Us, so, and their trailer that they had put together.
Yep.
It was a decent showing.
Showing, nothing to
I'd say a normal amount. Some fans in there, right?
Yeah, good audience participation with the questions. Yeah. Oh, and the other thing is the reason you sit through those panels to get to your panels, because they don't clear the room in between.
I'm just going to say, in between each panel, you saw some people leaving, not that many people. It would just kept getting more full and more full. And after that Jack Quaid one, not many people left. And it was...
No, that room was packed.
Full. Yeah.
The panel was going to start at 1:45 and it was around like 1:20. And it was like the atmosphere in the room just totally changed.
Totally changed.
You could feel it. It was palpable, the energy that you could see that all of a sudden some photographers showed up in the photographer seating, and the room was buzzing.
Yeah.
So much so that when the person from Comic-Con, she came up and she said, clear the aisles, clear the room.
Right. This was in between panels.
Right. She's like, if you're done with this panel, and you're leaving, leave now, please, because we expect this room to be packed.
Yeah. And they said you need to stand up and move closer. If there's a seat in between you, you need to stand up and you need to fill that seat and shift down.
And she started to put the name cards out, and she put Danny Kind on the podium and the crowd went wild.
Oh yeah.
And the person's face was like, are you kidding me right now? I'm just putting a name card down. She
was like a little bit like taken back, like what's happening.
She picks up the next one. She goes to put it down. And I think it was Emily's.
Yeah.
And
wild.
We're cheering for every single name card.
As if they'd been walked out to the stage right then and there, but they had.
Yeah.
And then the girl really caught on, was like, okay. Then she got into it. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you heard afterwards when that was over, she walked over, she was on towards where my side was, and she asked if anyone got video of all that.
She's like, do you guys get video? Yeah, because it was a really cool moment.
It was funny.
It was really fun.
We had our Not All Heroes Wear Capes t-shirts on with Josh's face on it. People had signs saying we love Josh. There were vengeance signs.
Well, there were chants, right? He walked out. We were chanting Josh, Josh.
People cheered for him when he came out of the side. Yeah. He wasn't on the panel, but people knew.
It was just like the guys had no choice but to stand up, because it was like everyone was going crazy for them. And then Danny came out, and I didn't think the room could get louder, but apparently it could. Everyone started standing and clapping, just cheering her on. And she's like, I'm not even going to waste any flipping time. Like, bring them out.
And then it went wild again. It was really just a nice moment. People standing up and yelling and cheering. And you could tell the cast was, overwhelmed by it. So
yeah, it was great. And, the panel, you can already see the panel. It's somebody already videotaped it. That's so dated. Recorded it. And that's already online. You can see that. But yeah, it felt so amazing. I've seen them how many times at conventions, but it was something about being at San Diego Comic-Con, knowing that they were going to talk about vengeance, knowing that they were bringing, us home after how long. It hit different.
It was a triumphant return, especially when San Diego Comic-Con, last time they were there, they was like, hey, seasons 4 and 5. And then that didn't work out. It's like, all right, suck it. We're back.
And they looked amazing.
Oh, yeah. We were sitting. So the thing about being in the other panels was that we were there, but we weren't there because we're just on Twitter the whole time, seeing all the Entertainment Weekly, all their interviews come up, seeing the photographs on the IMDb boat, and just being like, damn, just looking at each other and be like, do you see how good they look? Who's their stylist? They're wearing a rainbow. My God.
Yeah, it was funny knowing that like they were busy just, working, but also you could tell that they were just like having the time of their lives doing this.
Yeah.
Just glowing while we're just ass in seats for hours waiting and then just trolling Twitter the whole time.
And then Tubi goes, we have 100. They posted this picture of hands with a bunch of pins, and they're like, we have 100 of these exclusive Vengeance pins. Who wants them? And our entire row sitting there like, we do. We're already sitting in the panel though. Like, can someone deliver these pins to us?
Well, how do we get said pins? Because we're not leaving this spot. And then it was like somebody posted on Twitter, X amount of minutes until Entertainment Weekly interviews live, the cast from Vengeance. And we're like, I put my earbuds in during this other panel and I'm like watching it on YouTube. It's like they're off on a boat somewhere, who knows what, doing this interview. And we're just like getting all the content we can while we wait for them to come and give us more content.
Yeah. And their live thing with Entertainment Weekly, it was at like 11:45. So they really went from the IMDb boat then to the Entertainment Weekly thing. Then they, it takes time to get. It's all near the convention center, but just to get there.
San Diego is a job. Like they are literally going, they're hair and makeup. They go to photo ops. They go to interviews. They go to they're just pushed, like interviewed all day long. And if they have parties, and then they go to the panel, which probably is a fun part for them because they're like, hey, now we're with the fans. At the panel, they're with their people. And then they're whipped off. They go to the press room and then they change their clothes sometimes and then you're off to another party. It's like, I feel like it's just constant talking about yourselves in the show. Right. It's got to be exhausting.
Somebody shuttling, like everybody come on, let's go. Just, corralling you to move you on to the next, thing you need to do and present yourself. And
well, during the panel, they revealed the new trailer, which we'll talk about separate from this episode.
Yes, we're gonna have a whole episode dedicated to that trailer.
Yes, they showed it twice during the panel. I think they dropped it simultaneously, releasing it on Twitter or X or whatever. So the fans are able, outside the convention, were able to see it right about the same time or soon after. But just seeing it live in the convention hall was a pretty cool experience.
I think before the panel, I don't know how many minutes before the panel, maybe like a half an hour before, Tubi had tweeted, if this gets 1,000 likes or retweets, I think it was retweets, in the next half hour or hour, I can't remember, we'll maybe give you a surprise. And it was like under a half an hour before it was it was done.
Right. But we got some art. We got the new poster that
And did you notice? So when they did the tweet, shout out to whoever is working Tubi's socials right now, because they're killing it. So that tweet said, I don't have it in front of me right now, but there were certain letters capitalized in the tweet that gave a clue as to what it would be. And it's something art.
Oh, okay.
So it was very much like the Taylor Swift song, Thank You, Amy, where it's just, certain letters are capitalized.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that trailer, just seeing it on a giant screen, I've never had that opportunity before to be with them when they announced something or premiered something. Good sound, it's huge. Like I would love to see this when it comes out on big screen.
And I'm so glad Danny was like, let's play it again.
Yeah. And my jaw literally was I'm like, my eyes were wide, my jaw was on the floor, and I'm just trying to like absorb absolutely everything that was possibly happening. I got a little teary-eyed, I gotta say. I was like a little verklempt.
I think so were they too, when after the first time it aired and they saw everybody's reactions, and they were definitely feeling that too.
And it's always so very cute too, because Emily's always kind of like, God, I hope you like it, right? And it's like, what are you insane? Of course we like it, but it's that humbleness that we love about her. Yeah. It's just like, don't hate me, I hope it's fine.
So after that, we had planned, we talked about it on the episode, prior to this week that, there's a EARPer meetup after the panel behind the convention center that we plan to go to. However, we were not able to make it. We received an invite by a source close to Tubi to attend the Tubi press room and roundtable interviews with the cast and Emily, but it was on the same day as the panel. I wrote them and said, yes, we would like to do that. I was sad we were going to make that
Oh
meetup,
no, we can't make the EARPer meetup.
but very
Okay, we'll cancel.
thankful for this opportunity. So because we found out, later that they emailed and said that the time was going to be about an hour after the panel. So starting right around 3:30. We think that we got some pretty cool stuff, and we're gonna get to it. But just first talking about the place where these press rooms happen and the place where the panel took place couldn't be on more opposite sides.
We had a hike.
Yeah,
A
one was
hike
on
to get there.
the far end of the convention center. This thing's like a quarter mile long, and then the press room was in the Hilton Bayfront Hotel. So you got to walk
another maze.
off. Yeah.
So far.
Then you got to
So
go up.
far.
Luckily, Wendy and I had been in this hotel many times just because they have offsite Comic-Con events there too. Kind of knowing where the general area was, we wanted to get there as early as possible. And we had asked Anne, please, would, Kat's not coming. Would you please, we'd love to have to come with us. And, so we're heading over there.
Yeah, we're lugging
whole
all of our
time-
recording stuff and like our
We
cords,
got
and
bags.
microphones, backpacks, sweating, hot,
Yeah.
humid.
We're like, we want to
It's-
get there early so we could just like stop sweating and like
Exactly.
be
Just
Cool
sit down
down.
again.
normal looking. We got to
Yeah.
set up. So get over there. We walk in and they had the new art up, the posters up.
Mhm.
They had so you go into this kind of like side room, fairly large. It was room for about 10 tables in there. And it was a big open curtains. You could looked out over the water. It was very pretty. And they had a huge wall of essentially like a miniature red carpet that the cast is all going to walk in front of. And it's got the Comic-Con backdrop. So we were asked if we wanted to do the step and repeat interview style or if we wanted to do the roundtable interview style. We chose the roundtable because we wanted, feels a little more casual. We
Intimate?
sit down.
Yeah.
You're right there. They're literally next to you. And it's just a little less, not formal, However, it is a little noisier in the background. So you'll hear that. So we want to preface it with, we know there's a lot of background noise. There's no way to avoid it. We had our condensed mics. We had our Zoom mics. We had all different options.
Backups and backups and
Doesn't
backups.
matter.
Doesn't matter. It is.
You
what
don't
it
get
is.
to put a lapel mic on them. It's not that
No.
situation. So we apologize that some of the stuff, especially if what questions we're asking, which come on, let's be honest, you don't really care about that anyway. You care more about what they have to say, but you can hear them pretty well, but you will hear a lot of background noise.
And the way it works is like the step and repeat part is more for like the visual effects of people who are going to do like a little video interview,
Mhm.
and they get like, I don't know, 1 to 3 minutes with the person. And then the other roundtable interviews are going on all at the same time,
Right.
plus some people talking and interviewing at the step and repeat. So it's a room full of everybody talking at the same time.
It was very well organized. They had everybody come in separately. First, Mel came in and we're like, oh shit, it was early. And
Well,
then
it was way
she went
early.
back up. Yeah,
They
way
took them back
early.
out. We're like, oh my
no."
God, we're not
Yeah.
prepared.
Well,
So-
because as usual, Tim was there like
Uh-huh.
right away. It wasn't even supposed to start until 4. We were already there early.
Yeah.
And Tim's there just like, hey, everybody.
What's
And then
up?
they finally like dragged him out with a
Yeah.
hook, like, no, come
So
back
they
out.
were so basically they walk in kind of 1 by 1 or 2 by 2. So Mel and Tim walked in first. So again, you're on this big wall. You're about 5 feet from them. So it's just a row of photographers taking their pictures. It's kind of awkward to watch because
God, it's awkward. I
Vid,
could never be
I could never be
photographer.
they're just
No.
walking in. I mean, we're
Look
standing
this
right there.
way.
So we
Pose for
left,
me.
we're like 10 feet from our table. We're just like standing there watching them because
Ugh.
we have to wait for them to do this part for them to come to talk to us. So we're just over there. We get to take pictures. The video I posted was me just standing behind the photographers taking the same video
Yeah.
that they're all getting.
And it's
And-
hilarious because it's like, I mean, I'm short to begin with. These are professional photographers. Like
Oh
the
yeah.
photos
Getty.
you're seeing right now
Getty.
are Getty photos. And
Yeah.
so it's them with their giant cameras and flashes, and you can hear it in the videos, and I think you can hear it in some of our recording too. It's just click, 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 click. And it's over here, turn left, over your
Yeah.
shoulder, head down, now over here,
Chin
now over
down.
here, now
Yeah.
over here, one leg out, over here. And they are doing it with such patience and such grace. And there's me trying to bob and weave with my iPhone between people to try to get any kind of photo I can. And also trying to be respectful, because it's like, listen, I know my photos are not going to be nearly as cool as your photos. I'm strictly doing this because YOLO, I'm living my best life right now. Like,
Exactly.
I'm just happy to be here. I'm not pretending to be a photographer whatsoever.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah, that was pretty hilarious.
yeah, so Mel and Tim are going. And again, it's quiet. You're not at a movie premiere where there's like music going. It's like the 10 photographers, the 10 of us, 10 other interviewers, and we're just watching them. It's kind of, but in an awesome way. But it's just really, so they're going by, and then they get to the end where they do like two people doing the stand-up interviews, right? With their camera set up. And then they give them a little bit of time. And then Dom and Kat came in. And each photographer were like, okay, me now. They're very polite with one another, essentially each getting their turn.
They did each person individual, and then they coupled them up too for the photos.
Right.
And so Dom and Kat get up, and there's two professional photographers to my right.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
squeezed in this little gap, and the guy takes a picture. He looks over at me and he goes, who's in the, was Kat wearing blue, like a light blue? He's like, who's in the blue? And I just looked at him and I said, Kat Barrell. And he talks into, he's like, who? And he makes me say it again. I said, Kat Barrell. And he talks into a microphone on his camera. And he's like, blue, Kat Barrell. And he goes, and now who's in the green? And I practically rolled my eyes in disgust. And I was like, Dom Provost-Chalkley. And then he repeats it again. And I'm thinking, listen here, Mr. Getty, with your fancy camera.
I can't
At
imagine
least
how many.
I know their names.
I can't imagine how many events they have to go to where they're just
I
like,
know. But
where am
just
I?
took
What
it
am I? Who? Yeah.
Who is
real
this?
personally. You don't know who my people are. Come on.
Yeah, but your pictures look good. So
Yeah.
Exactly.
Making them look good.
And you're selling them for a
And
gazillion dollars, probably.
let me tell you, it's one thing to see them up on the panel stage and see their photo, on EW, everything's got a nice filter on there. Seeing them just sitting next to us, they looked flawless. Every one of them looked radiant and perfect. And I was like, I wanted to ask, who did your makeup today? Who is your stylist? I mean, everyone looks just amazing.
And
just
not
glowing.
sweaty at all. Not sweaty
No
at all.
sweat. What the hell
Nope.
is that?
No.
How? I don't know.
They're like, and they're wearing pants, and like some of them have like blazery jackets on. How are you not sweaty?
I guess they're professionals, they don't sweat.
what they do.
There were 3 tables, and each table they just kind of chunk you up with some other people. Interviewers agreement, like, let's at least let everyone have one question and then go from there, see how much time you have left. We were sat at our table with a gentleman named Eric Amaya, who is from the Comic-Con, and Rebecca Hausman from nerdsandbeyond.com. So when you hear our audio from that, you'll hear them asking their questions as well. So people whose voices you don't recognize, that's who is also speaking at the table with us. And we had a really fun table, honestly, because when Rebecca sat down, she looked over at us, she could see us in our Josh shirts, and she was like, oh, good, Earpers.
And then finally we got Mel and Tim sitting right next to them. I was trying to find just one pore. I couldn't find any on any of them. So
They're attractive
I
people.
want to know
They're attractive people.
what primer you're using. What base are you using?
Maybe it's the Canadian
And I know
air.
that Mel and Tim are my age and older. Like they're old. Like they look freaking amazing. Yeah, maybe it's just the Canadian genes.
Yeah, it must be. It's the air. It's a little cleaner up there, maybe.
Yeah.
And maybe it's the maple syrup. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
The
Friendliness.
cold weather.
Yeah.
Yeah. The cold air is probably like a little bit cryogenic.
Right.
So they're not really as old as they really are, because during the winter months they're like preserved a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
They're
They're
that
probably
makes sense.
5 years younger than they look
Yeah, it
compared to
slows down the
Americans.
aging process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So without much further more ado, I think we should just get to it, because we'll play these interviews. They don't do a big to-do introduction of everybody. They just kind of come and sit down at your table. So you're not going to hear each person introduce themselves. If you're listening to this podcast,
My
you'll
name's
probably
Mel.
recognize their voices and know exactly who's talking. But it's Mel and Tim first, then Emily stops by, and then Kat and Dom. And we'll talk about it after. Sure, I'm going to jump right in, get to the hard-hitting stuff. So I heard the line in the trailer, something about rebooting the cooch.
Right.
How much cooch are we talking here?
So much.
How much can we expect of this?
Oh, God. What a great show to be on.
10 out of 10
That's
cooch.
question number one.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
totally on brand. Yeah.
Like if there was a percentage of cooch, do you think? Cooch can be a lot of things.
There's a lot.
Okay, that you left me at the suspense.
It's like 100% cooch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just all cooch all day.
Okay, we'll take that.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, and you said it's more like a reboot rather than a reunion.
Uh-huh.
Anything you can elaborate on that, or no comments, or
I don't even know what that means.
I don't know what it means. Okay.
Because what's the difference between a reboot and a reunion? Technically.
There would be maybe more to come. It's a restart, and there
That
might be
makes sense.
Yeah.
In fairness, that wasn't my line.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I was literally going to ask if you thought reboot was an imprecise word, and I guess here we are.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Well, I mean, I think the interesting thing is that everyone keeps using the term special, and I think it's good to say that, because that's what this feels like. It doesn't feel like it's its own. I don't know what it is. It's like its own thing, and it's kind of like we were talking. If you're an Earper, you're going to get everything you want. But if it's your first time tuning in, also you're like, "What's this? Wynonna Earp Vengeance with this super hot, sexy girl on the cover poster with this fiery gun, talented, amazing, charismatic." Yeah.
I also like
in
Waverly.
a leather jacket. But I think new people too will also just be like, "Oh, this is cool," as its story. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So at the end of season 4, we really saw Wynonna shift from being in service to others to choosing yourself. Choosing hokey crap. So how is she bringing that into this? That feeling of choosing yourself and choosing love?
Whoa, I love this question. How do I say it without spoiling anything? I don't think it's spoiling. I think when you choose love, it doesn't get easier just because you've chosen it. I think then the fruits of that choice bring their own set of complications, and that's the most real thing that's ever been said. Like that's universal. And so she now has made the most difficult choice for her, which is to choose love. And now she has to deal with but how do you do this? And and showing up in a way that's I don't know, like that's productive, I guess. For lack of a better word. Always. Listen, you've gone to the wrong place I just go to weird places.
Yeah, that was my favorite answer ever.
Yeah.
And I think it was a great way to describe this. I didn't even think about it like that, and then you said it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's what it is. That's what it was." Sometimes you choose love, but it doesn't make it any easier, and that's literally, wow.
What about for you, Sam?
Well, it's the same thing. I mean, it's just because you choose love, and it doesn't make it any easier for my character either. Yeah.
I think as much as we'd love to see these two ride off into the sunset, that's not realistic.
Right.
Is there more? Can you talk a little bit about the challenges that Wynonna and Doc are facing coming into Vengeance? Maybe paired off together. Is it all sunshine and rainbows?
Well, but that's the thing. It's like anybody who's ever been married. You have the wedding day. Hey, congratulations, Varun. Don't listen to this because it's going to go dark. So you have the wedding day, and it's the perfect day. It's the riding off into the sunset. And then you're still the same people with the same problems. So now you're moving forward together, and whatever was going on to make you the beautiful person you are with all the problems that you have that kept getting you into trouble in relationships, you still have them. And so now they're still the same people who have the same issues, but now they've chosen to be get together, but now they're like facing those issues head on.
And I think tragically, I think they both know and always known that the sunset, it's just not going to happen. So they keep trying to make the sun where it isn't there. And, you know, purgatory is a tough place to do that. Where you're busy kicking demon ass and then whatever, and then there's only time for kissy poo-poo. But, yeah, I think they've always been aware, even the whole time, that maybe it's not.
And, like, scared of it.
Yeah, of course.
Of going, like, I really want this to work, and I don't think it will, so it's just hiding from that reality and acting like things are great is yeah. Oh, sorry.
Thinking about where your characters have been and where we find them in venues. If they were to have a podcast together, what would the topic be and what would it be?
The Gamblers,
Oh,
I think would be the
nice.
title of the podcast. Yeah.
Take a chance on love.
Yeah.
Huh?
Also, yes.
And then, but we don't talk about love because we've
Of
avoided
course.
it.
Yeah,
We're
obviously.
just like
Yes.
we just bicker about things.
Yeah.
And avoid the topic of love, even though that's what our podcast
Yeah,
is.
exactly. The Gamblers' Topic of Love with Wynonna and Doc. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. We just talk about like herpy creams.
And
like,
and roulette strategies.
yes.
Yes.
And all the roulette metaphors is just like us talking about love, but a roundabout way, because we can't actually talk about love because we're above.
Yeah. Yeah. Right, because there's a 50-50 shot, but then the two greens make it's never 50-50.
So good.
There's always that unknown factor that just, and I think we hit green a lot.
Yeah, I don't know what that means, but yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm picking it up.
First of all, great job directing Clickbait.
Oh, thank you. Co-directing.
Oh, yes, the directing or just life going by in those 3 years and then coming back with different perspective, a different outlook on either the characters or even acting in general, going back to something that, it's a long time ago that we first did.
The thing is, I think we both feel this way too. Like Paolo Barsman directed us. And he was my mentor. And so I think we both felt. I'm talking for you, but like I felt very safe with him, and so it was very. Yeah, I've learned a ton, but also I didn't think about it once because when I'm acting, I'm not directing. I have no business telling Paolo anything or anybody. It's just like it's a different thing, and I think it would be awful to show up as a director in a scene. I think that would be disgusting. I've seen it happen before, and I was like, I don't want to do that. But yeah, I've learned a ton. Most of it is like that actors should take the pressure off themselves because it's not their job to create the best performance. It's a team thing. It's the lights. It's the music. It's the way the camera moves. And actually, we just have to show up and do our best. But and we always do that.
For me, there was fatherhood, so it changed. I mean, it always made me wonder. Luckily, we didn't, Alice. We dealt with Alice with the helicopter,
Right?
You know what I mean? And then it'd be like, but I always wondered if we would have played what I would have played, knowing now, not being a father, how I would have acted as a father. Because now I know it would be totally different actually being a father, how what I would probably bring to it. But then again, Doc wasn't a father, so wouldn't know what it would have been. So it would have been interesting. But yeah.
I need to wrap it up a little bit. Thank you.
Oh, good time.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thank
Pleasure,
you.
bud.
Let's take our shoes off. Right? Good. I do. Name your price, Ann. It's so good to see some of you guys. How are you? Yes. when you tweet about this, make sure you know I chugged the whole thing. Make it sound real cool. So vengeance. Here's what happens. Number 1, number 2, number 3. Yeah, exactly. Here's who dies. What? Who said that? Yes.
All right, so let me ask kind of a funny question.
Thank you.
Now that the word reboot is
Yes.
in
What?
there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
How imprecise is that as a word?
I would say it's oh, I get it. Reboot. Yeah. So here's the thing I want you to know about Vengeance, okay, guys? If you are a hardcore fan, first of all, I love you and I will make out with you a little bit. Number 2. Awesome, good. We can talk later. I'm going to just have this Coke Zero. Yes, you're like, you left. You got what you needed? Amazing, good. Honestly, there's so much fun in the movie. There's so many Easter eggs, so many inside jokes, so many references, maybe a lot of fun cameos of your favorites. But Tubi really was like, and this was smart, this is what we want. They want your sexy aunt and your dog and your dog's dog and your dad to be able to tune in if they've never seen it before and hit the ground running. You just have to know that she is a sexy demon hunter who's a little bit out of control. These are the dysfunctional people in her life, and that's all you need to know. Really, you don't kind of have to have a chart of the first 4 seasons of Wynonna Earp. You'll get it, okay? So I really am proud that we walked that tightrope walk. I think we did. I think you can get your friends to watch it. They'll understand it. But if you've loved the show from the beginning or whenever, you will get all the funny insider jokes.
So having that as part of your plan and strategy, getting back into the writer's room, what was that like? What was the excitement, the challenge, the concern?
I don't know if you've ever written, but it was a lot of, diarrhea. That's got to be the hashtag we're taking away from this, right? It was terrifying. It was terrifying. I mean, I love these characters. I've been with them for 10 years, but it had been a minute, you know what I mean? And also, it was sort of a new forum. It was 90 minutes. It was a contained story. I was intimidated, to be honest. I did have some of the other writers, but it's not like a series where we had a writing room. It was a little bit all on me, although I did have some help from some of my favorites, of course. But it's like I said, I really think you should be scared. You should be. If I just didn't give a shit, can we say shit? We said diarrhea. We're fine. If I didn't care, it would have been easier, but I wanted it to be good. I would say the timeline was tight. Like it kind of, Josh was kind of talking about, and then it was happening, and I was like, oh my God, what do I do? I'm like, Christmas is canceled, kids. Sorry. This is your Christmas present in Act 2 that actually holds together. But I think it worked out okay. And you know what? It's so often the case. Talk to me after the movie. So many things I wanted to happen that didn't happen then turn out to be happy accidents, and you can't ever imagine doing it not pregnant or whatever. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of the Wynonna way, right? The mess becomes the beauty. So, yeah.
Thinking about your characters, where they started and where they are now in Vengeance.
Yeah.
Say where they end up.
Yeah, of course. But
which 2 characters do you think would start a podcast together and what would you think about?
I feel like Nedley and Nicole would do a pretty fun podcast. That was like Crime Beat, and there would be a lot of bickering, kind of a father-daughter angle. I think at first that he wouldn't want a podcast, and then he would take over the podcast and have a lot of opinions and swag, for example. I'm not sure Wynonna has the focus to podcast, to be honest, but you tell me, which podcast do you want to see?
I don't know, Tim pitched a really good one called The Gambler.
Oh, okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, that's pretty good. Okay, that's pretty good. The Crime Beat? Yeah. Or I wonder if you could do like Waverly, Jeremy, doing kind of like weird cases and research and like really nerding out. I don't know. Are podcasters nerdy? Doesn't check out, right? Doesn't sound like it checks out. I don't know, but let's try it. Let's try it. Yeah, exactly. Let's include some nerds, guys. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So when you wrapped up the end of the original run,
yes,
it was such a perfect, beautiful.
Oh, now I'm going to do a spit take because you're right. The pressure's on.
Is there ever any? Because sometimes it's so hard to nail the landing of a series.
Oh, it's impossible.
You're hoping for. It's like it's wrapped up so beautifully.
Thank you.
Is there ever any thought just like?
Oh.
You're almost scared. Like,
yes.
Okay, everybody wants more, but I'm kind of.
When you say any thought, do you mean every thought that haunted my waking moment as I go into the movie? No.
ended on that.
Yeah, exactly. With everyone happy. No, that was probably my number one thing about the movie, to be honest, is first of all, I want to be careful to say this. What a gift to be able to end a series happily. We've all had series that ended on a cliffhanger that were unsatisfying to the fans. I mean, honestly, I just think that is like so unusual in this business to not be chasing a renewal and be like, no, it is more important for me to say thank you to the audience who've stuck with us. But let's face it, we ended on happily ever after, and to pull that thread a little bit, because story is conflict, you need conflict, you need to let characters change and grow, was incredibly intimidating. On the other hand, as with Earp a lot, we try to do stories that aren't always shown on other shows. We'll do Pregnant, we'll do other things. These characters are older. What does happen after happily ever after? Do you know what I mean? As you grow in your marriage, as you grow in your relationship, as you maybe want the same things or you don't. And demons aside, just like dealing with cat barf in the middle of the night and paying taxes is its own adventure, right? But there can still be romance, I think, in building a life, right? After the wedding, after you ride off into the sunset. So there's still lots of romance to be had, but I'm so proud that we let these characters grow up and become who they are now. So.
And the trailer dropping today and everything that's from the big reveal.
Yes, how do people like it?
Yeah.
I haven't been online. Okay, good. No, I've just like, okay, good. Yes. Well, that was a very friendly crowd. I no tomatoes to be tossed.
So when you write a line like, was it reboot the cooch?
Yeah. I like to reboot her in the cooch. Yeah. Listen, I don't want to call myself the Shakespeare of my age, but I mean, hey, I still know my audience.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay.
And Tubi was like, you can say anything, and I was like, oh yes, well, I will take you up on that. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, so you brought the trailer to me. What's been your favorite moment about this whole? The special, right? Was it releasing the news to us? Was it?
I would say both telling the cast that we were coming back. I will get emotional. God damn you! It's 4 p.m. I'm going to cry. And just the feeling of like I was very much like this is such a gift, but we are doing it all of us or none of us. We are so tight. It is not an act. We all love one another. I was like we're all in it or we're not doing it, and that's okay. And just everyone's working around their schedule and being so thrilled to come back and do it again was so moving to me that we all wanted to do that. But truly waiting to tell you guys, just like out of nowhere, has been incredible, right? Just like a reward to this audience who has stuck with us and being like, we did it. We can't kill it with fire. We've tried. That was probably my favorite part. But like, listen, guys, coming back to San Diego Comic-Con as the writer, posing next to the beautiful people, like, hey, is not the worst. Like that'll be in the special when I go on to the next side. I'll be like, yeah, I remember that. It's been pretty incredible to be back here.
Yeah. As fans too, it's so exciting to be back here.
Oh, thank you.
How getting it the love it deserves.
It's nice, and these guys deserve that love. They are the real deal, you know what I mean? So I think, and seeing you guys, it's been great. Like, we kind of started out here, so just like seeing people and being back, yeah, it's been great. We always feel like the underdogs, so it's pretty great they let us in the building. For now, yes.
I'm seeing everybody just like flowing, talking about it.
Yeah.
About it.
Yeah. I think too, just like being away and then coming back, both on set and to things like this, it's a bit of a cliche, but really being able to be present. Like you knew it was special, but you were so frantic before. When we finished season 4, it was 2020. We were like one of the first productions back during COVID. So knowing like, this is like summer camp. We're going to come back and have one more chance just to really be aware of how incredible this is has been magical. Yeah. I can say something really cynical now if you want, if it's getting too gushy. Yeah, exactly. Diarrhea. Just one more time. You're welcome. Let's end on a high note. Yeah.
The way the message goes.
Yes.
Is there room for more?
Oh, you're going to be so mad at me. You're going to be so... No, wait. You're going to be satisfied. Oh, have we met? You want your Coke Zero back? Too late, maybe. Maybe you can clone one of me who won't get it on a cliffhanger. Yeah, exactly. Listen, I know how to play this game. Tubi's new. I got to rope them in. I'm like, listen, I'm not going to get this shit if we don't do more. You guys are. No, I would say it is satisfying. You may want some more stuff to happen. That's good, isn't it?
Yeah, we may.
You may. Yeah, you'll want more.
You said there'll be sexy things we have to say.
Yeah.
Things to say. Would you say it's stairs level of sexy?
I would say there's lots of sexiness. There's
Okay,
lots of
okay.
sexiness. I would say, of course, it's a very
Not like
mature
a flash of
audience.
it in the trailer, just like a little.
Well, you know what? You guys are thirsty. I appreciate that you're like, I'm not even going to pretend that I'm not a thirsty pervert. I'm like, hi, I'm here. Know what I want. Yes, welcome to the club. Yes, you're right on brand, right in time. Don't worry, guys. I got you. Yeah. Thirsty pervert and diarrhea. We nailed it, guys. So great to see you guys. Thank you for coming, you guys. Honestly, thanks, sweetie. I'm taking this. Okay.
Coming back to this, now you guys have been married for 3 years or so.
Yeah.
Have you heard of lesbian bed death? It's a thing.
It's not a thing in our relationship.
It's
definitely not a thing in our relationship.
All right, there we go. So that's okay. Confirmed. That's all that was the main part there. But coming back to what do you think you learned in your relationship with each other? The last 3 years. Touched on it a little bit, but is there anything that was really special that you kind of got to play coming back to it, being together this long? Anything that even within from your own relationships within your life?
I think in Nicole's attempt to desperately keep Waverly safe and keep the town safe, like Nicole is just trying to keep everything okay and status quo. And I think for Nicole, it's like very scary for anything to change once she's got everything calm. And I think that for Nicole is a big part of her journey, is a letting go and a releasing of the reins and a trust that she really, really struggles with, because she just so desperately wants to keep her wife and her town, just everyone just be chill, but chill is boring. And and people want to,
What are you saying? What are you saying?
It's a lot of responsibility.
Nothing challenging about me. I think like I interpreted the question slightly differently. I think that like one thing about like coming back to this relationship is like Kat and I have developed such a comfortability like with each other and such an ease in the way that we are, and I think that I felt so safe. I always feel safe, but when you've been out and not doing something, not playing a character for like 3 years, it's still a little bit daunting when you come back. You know, you're like, all right, where are we now? And then the minute that we started, it was like, oh no, this is so easy. It's way hot, and we know and love these characters so well, so much, and it just feels like a blessing to continue their relationship and the evolution of that relationship. And that they're living on the homestead in their beautiful queer life, and that we actually get to see it.
Yeah. I love, like, I've always been such a fan of domestic way hot. Like, I just think there's something almost more beautiful about seeing a couple that has been in love and grown together and fought for that relationship over and over and over again. I as I get older, I become more obsessed with people who are like, we've been married for 35 years. I'm like, that's the thing, you know, and that's beautiful. And I'm so happy because I don't think just because we've been around for a decade now, which is crazy, but you know, we don't get to see that on TV. How many shows do we have where we get to follow characters for that long? And then especially having this amazing queer relationship, like, that's really important. I think we've now stepped into a space of representation that, like, just by virtue of being around for that long is so special and unique and needed.
That's so true. Like, when we were doing the wedding, we were like, this is amazing, this is groundbreaking, this is what we need. But it's like, also like, seeing wives just loving one another, and also just like the ups and downs and the reality of relationship. No bed death, absolutely
no
not.
bed death. Don't worry. Don't worry.
There's none of that.
Do that to you.
It's very clear that is not the case. But you know, the reality of relationships as they evolve and grow.
my conviction about Emily, like you're all where you are now, as opposed to, I don't know if it was more difficult. Like, hey, we need to connect it. Wait, is this?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, y'all do her, y'all change the character to change, and she wants to embrace that and show that, and not try to shove you into some persona that she thinks these characters will be. She's like, who are you? Seems like
Yeah, very supportive, very generous.
Yeah, and I think that that's actually very unusual. I think that there's, especially within this industry, there are boxes and there are things that people try to push you in, and so to have an experience and an environment where people are just embracing all of our evolutions and actually lifting those things up and bringing them to the forefront and going, no, let's represent this too. That's really special.
As a couple, you guys have to allow each other to grow as well and change.
Yeah.
Representing that is also a big part of the representation.
Yeah, and there's a lot of that in the special. There's a lot of what's next, and it might be scary to let somebody grow. And what does that look like? Yeah.
Ooh, that was a little teaser situation.
It's been a big since you guys were in the shoot this and again, even though it's something
Yeah.
I felt like I read it double speed because I was just oh my god, yeah, exactly. The excitement was just overwhelming.
I was pretty ritualistic about it. I didn't read it for 4 days because I needed to have. My life is a little bit crazier because I have small kids, and I needed to I was I cannot be interrupted. I need to have snacks. I was very specific. I was I need 2 hours where I know no one will interrupt. Yeah. And because I didn't want anything to break my attention once so I made it a bit of an event for myself. Yeah.
That's really wise. So
Yeah.
I did it so quickly, and I was I need to read this again.
Yeah.
What did I miss? But it just felt so, it's such an experience reading a Wynonna Earp script for the first time, because as you know, there are so many twists and turns in the adventure that you're reading it and you can almost feel you're holding your breath.
Yeah.
Because it's just such a
It was
wild ride.
really hard not to do that. Because I wanted to, I wanted to flip to the end. I wanted to, but I was don't do it.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Savor every
it.
line.
Yeah.
Thinking about your characters as where you start from thank you so much.
Yeah.
Ooh.
As our characters?
Oh my gosh.
Wifey wisdom.
Oh, yes. I love it.
With maybe some marriage. I like those podcasts that are honest about marriage and relationships in the long term, where they're this is what's really working for us, and bringing people on, and
I'm down.
Yeah, wifey wisdom.
Sound like when it came to the
I think Nicole would tread very carefully.
I do think, though, that Waverly and Nicole have really great conflict resolution.
Yeah.
I think that that's probably the key to their relationship, is they're good at talking and communicating.
Communication.
Being
I
honest
think they're
and
good.
real.
Yeah.
Yeah, with what's coming up as it's coming up. I think Waves is probably someone who can't hold stuff in. When it needs to come out, it needs to come out, in that firecracker way. Just okay, babe, I need to.
Yeah, and Nicole's I was just about to leave for work. What do we need to talk about now? Yeah. We need to do this right now.
Yes,
okay.
we do.
All right. Yeah.
100%.
I still can't
Was-
believe that happened, quite honestly.
Definitely a new experience for me, a different level. So that was a lot of fun.
I've seen them before, but I don't know, being there was really quite an experience.
And we will be posting the video. I am editing it. We'll finish editing right after this. And it will, again, it's edited for mostly audio. So you'll see some jumps, but we thought you'd appreciate seeing the video. So it will be up by tomorrow, which is Tuesday. So give it till like midday. Okay. Don't wake yourself up early. It ain't going to be there. It's a little maybe easier to follow when you can see it, because again, there's a lot of background noise in there.
There's a glare. Remember who you're working with here. We, again, podcasts are audio. We do pretty well in our audio game.
And the way that the roundtables were mostly for print. So they're getting quotes and then they're going to be printing it somewhere. They're not necessarily using it for this purpose.
Correct.
But it makes you feel like you're there,
Yes.
makes you feel like you're there, you're in the room. That's totally what we're going for with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you said, as far as some of the things, I think it was with Mel and Tim, and Wendy had started asking about, I'd mentioned something about clickbait. I'm not sure if this get, but
my God. So, okay. So it's Tara, Wendy, and then me. And then, like we said, Rebecca, and then Eric. And all of a sudden, I'm just trying to like reduce this glare on the camera as I'm recording them. And all this, I'm just focusing on these beautiful faces in front of me. And all of a sudden I hear Wendy start talking about clickbait. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, she's going to ask the semen question. Oh my God. And in my head, I'm having this whole like panic attack. And I'm like, how do I stop Wendy? No, Wendy wouldn't go there. She wouldn't do it. And I'm like, but what if she does? I'm like, this can't happen right now. So I'm having these imaginary conversations, playing out scenarios in my head about like, do I just throw my hand over her mouth real quick? Like, do I kick her under the table? Like, how do I stop this from going down? But luckily that's not what she asked.
Just
but
saying,
I was
good
like,
job
oh my
in
God,
clickbait.
she's going there. She's going there.
Yeah.
No, not where I was headed.
Well, my first question to Mel and Tim was about cooch. So I could imagine why Anne thought maybe you would just follow along.
There's a follow-up
Take
question.
another follow-up question.
But it was so funny
Speaking
too,
of-
because it's like Mel and Tim are just such an interesting combination because they have this chemistry, but Tim is like the sweetest, gentlest, like man there could be. Like he's so kind, he's so sweet. Not that Melanie isn't kind and sweet, but Melanie's crass. Like you can play with Melanie, you never know what you're gonna get. And so like as soon as Cooch comes out, poor Tim is like, oh my God. Like you can just see the look on his face. It's just like same with the panel when Melanie starts whispering what a diva cup is.
Oh, that was funny.
That was
Tim,
hilarious.
and you can just see the look on his face turning to like horror and like, okay, you're gonna talk about this. You could just tell that they were all really excited to be there, and just they all seemed like genuinely happy and excited about everything.
So just a very special experience, and very grateful for Tubi for letting us be a part of that.
Tubi, thank you, Emily. Thank you.
Yeah.
The whole cast.
Big thank you.
Yeah.
And before all of that, but when they dragged Tim out of the room, Emily had mentioned at the panel that we would also not only want to thank Josh, but we would also want to thank Adam from Tubi. And she said this is a new person not new to Tubi, but new to us. And so someone had walked into the room that I recognized from a photo off of Twitter earlier in the day with them. And I said, excuse me, are you Adam? He was like, yes, I am. And then he noticed our shirts and he was like, oh, you're the guy, you're the ones who did the Josh shirts. He's like, those are so great. So we just, introduced ourselves to him and he was really nice. I asked him where we could get one of those, the Wynonna pins, because it turns out they were giving those away at the meetup, which we didn't get to go to. And he had one on his lanyard and he's like, oh, here, just take mine. I'm like, no, take yours. He's like, no, I'll get more. So then he had them come back in and give us like a handful of them so that we could give them to the people that we knew didn't get one. But so go ahead and follow Adam on Twitter. It's @Adam@Tubi. But anyway, so then he was like, oh yeah, Josh loved the shirts. He's like, let me go get Josh. So then he goes out, he brings Josh in. And so we all got to get a photo with our Josh shirts on, and
Yeah.
Josh and Adam. So everyone was just really welcoming, and not surprisingly, they were super friendly, and it was a really great experience. It's a really great day. It's just a really exciting time to be an Earper. Not that it wasn't always exciting, but it's like I'm vibrating with excitement, just waiting for this to come out.
If you couldn't be there, we hope you got to see the panel. It's available on YouTube or somewhere out there now. And then again, the video from these interviews will be put up tomorrow, which is Tuesday, Pacific time, later in the morning or early afternoon. Okay.
After I wake up, have some breakfast, finish it up.
It's coming.
It takes some doing. All right.
Yes, you'll like it. Don't worry.
Yes. Well, thank you for joining us. Really excited to share this experience with you. So we will have our regular episode a little late this week. So you get the special episode, and you'll get your regular episode later on. We do our best.
Yeah.
So what are some ways folks can reach out to us?
Well, on the Twitter, we're at SNOP Podcast with 1 D.
Or Facebook and Instagram at She Nerds Out Podcast. And you can email us at shenerdsOut@gmail.com.
You can send us snail mail at She Nerds Out, P.O. Box 6732, Burbank, California, 91510. And you can find me on Twitter at Why Not P.
Thanks again. Until we get our next episode, our deep dive into the Earp Vengeance trailer.
Yep.
She Nerds Out.
Out.
She nerds out. We're girls that like nerds.